two there should be, no more, no less. One to embody the power, one to crave it. This was the original version of the Rule of Two, a doctrine that changed the Sith forever after the cataclysmic end of the new Sith Wars. It was written by Darth Bane, one of the greatest Dark Lords of the Sith, and it sought to correct the fatal flaw that had afflicted all Sith orders hitherto. When more than two Sith Lords got together, they had a nasty habit of destroying themselves. Many of you have likely heard of Darth Bane, but few know much about him apart from the changes he made to the Sith. In this video, we'll be telling the full story of this mysterious visionary.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
1026 years before the Battle of Yavin, during the Dark Age of the Republic, a man named Dessel was born on Apatros, a poor mining planet in the Outer Rim. His mother died in childbirth, and he spent his first 18 years being raised by his father, who was violently abusive and blamed Dessel for the death of his mother. He believed his own son was the bane of his existence, to the point that he eventually took to simply calling him Bane. His father, like just about everyone on Apatros, worked in the planet's cortosis mines, doing some of the nastiest labor the galaxy had to offer to supply lightsaber-resistant cortosis to the Republic, a metal that was in high demand due to the ongoing new Sith Wars. When Dessel was 16, he joined his father in the mines, where the other miners often joined in bullying him. One day, after enduring 2 years of this hell, Dessel decided to stand up to his father, who then beat him within an inch of his life in a drunken rage. That night, as the pain kept him from sleeping, Dessel's mind was consumed by thoughts of revenge, crushing his father's heart. When the next day dawned, he found his father dead. Unbeknownst to him, Dessel had drawn on the dark side of the Force for the first time, but not the last. After a further 5 years on Apatros, Dessel managed to convince a friend to smuggle him off-world. Having developed a hatred of the Republic over the course of his time in the mines, he enlisted in the ground armies of Lord Khan's Brotherhood of Darkness, the current incarnation of the new Sith. Dessel was quickly recognized as one of the Brotherhood's best soldiers, and it wasn't long before he was noticed by the Sith Lords, who realized that he was Force sensitive. Sensing great potential within the young man, Lord Kopech, one of the reigning Dark Lords of the Brotherhood, invited Dessel to come train at the Sith Academy on Korriban. Dessel accepted, and as was customary for the Sith, he chose a new name for himself. Having been taught by Lord Kopech that his anger and hatred were the source of his strength, he chose the name that his abusive father had branded him with years before: Bane. On Korriban, Bane rapidly surpassed the other students at the Sith Academy, despite discovering his talent in the Force relatively late. With the help of Blade Master Qasim and the fallen Jedi Geetsly, Bane learned a wide variety of lightsaber and Force techniques, and his extensive studies of the Academy's archives brought him extensive knowledge of the history and ideology of the Sith. All this allowed him to best several of his rivals at the Academy, but it also instilled him with doubts about the Brotherhood of Darkness. Studying the history of the Sith led Bane to believe that Lord Khan had perverted the Sith teachings and warped the Sith into a dark mirror of the Jedi Order, putting the Brotherhood's stability before the demands of the dark side. An expedition to the Valley of the Dark Lords, in which Bane sensed that the spirits of the ancient Sith had abandoned Korriban, only confirmed these beliefs in his eyes. When Bane returned from the valley, he learned that Khan had ordered that all the students on Korriban were to be promoted to the rank of Dark Lord and sent to Ruusan to join the Ruusan campaign. But Bane rejected the call. Instead, he traveled to Lehon, where he sought out the Temple of Ancients, the former stronghold of Darth Revan. There, he felt the dark side was much stronger in the Academy on Korriban, and in the temple's catacombs, he stumbled upon Revan's Sith holocron. From Revan's holocron, Bane learned a vast array of Sith teachings and techniques, allowing him to finalize his Rule of Two, the beginning of a new take on Sith teachings. Seeing Bane as a potential threat, Lord Khan sent Qasim to kill Bane on Lehon, but Bane was able to best the Blade Master in combat. Khan tried again by sending Geetsly, who had been in a relationship with Bane at the Academy, to kill him on Umbria, a world that had once been strong in the dark side, though the ancient Jedi had long ago contained the planet's taint to Lake Nath. Bane met Geetsly at the shores of this lake, where she poisoned him with a kiss, nearly succeeding in killing the would-be Dark Lord. But Bane was able to keep himself alive long enough to track down a healer living on the planet, a man named Caleb, whom he blackmailed into curing him by threatening to murder his daughter. Bane then traveled to Ruusan, where he joined the Brotherhood at their camp. In front of the assembled Sith Lords, Bane claimed the ancient title of Darth, which Khan had forbidden the use of for fear of disunity. Khan was forced to tolerate this, however. His previous attempts to kill Bane had failed, and he knew that any others would as well. What's more, Bane came to the Brotherhood with a plan to win the coming 7th Battle of Ruusan. At his direction, the Sith assembled on a hilltop and unleashed the raw power of the dark side on their Jedi enemies, incurring mass casualties. But Khan and the others broke the ritual early, deciding to finish off the Jedi with a conventional charge. A major mistake, as Jedi reinforcers intercepted the charge and routed the Brotherhood's armies. In the wake of this catastrophe, Bane determined that the Brotherhood was beyond redeeming. The Sith, he believed, needed to start over entirely. In the aftermath of the 7th battle, Bane taught Lord Khan one of the techniques he had learned from Revan's holocron, the Thought Bomb, which would consume and imprison the souls of all within a broad blast radius, the users included. Khan, by this point, was beginning to lose his mind, and he was deluded enough to believe that he and the remaining Sith Lords would be strong enough to survive a Thought Bomb's detonation. While Bane fled a safe distance away, the remaining Sith Lords carried out the ritual and committed mass suicide, taking 100 of their Jedi foes with them. Darth Bane was left the last surviving Sith Lord, now free to remake the Order as he saw fit. While wandering the now abandoned battlefields of Ruusan, Bane stumbled upon a 10-year-old girl who called herself Zannah. Sensing deep anger and hatred within her, as well as strength in the Force, Bane took her as his apprentice under the rule of 2. For the next 10 years, the two lived in a camp on Umbria, where Bane raised Zannah in the ways of the Sith, only rarely leaving the planet to hunt down Sith artifacts and teachings. While on Umbria, Bane developed a Sith grand plan, a plot to destroy the Republic and Jedi Order from the inside, which he would spend the rest of his life slowly bringing to fruition. 10 years after the 7th Battle of Ruusan, the Jedi discovered that Bane was still alive. They sent out a team of 5 Jedi to hunt down and eliminate the Sith once and for all, and the Jedi cornered Bane and Zannah on Tython, where they fought a fierce battle. The Sith ultimately killed all of their Jedi assailants, but Bane was critically wounded in the process. Not yet ready to take the mantle of Dark Lord, Zannah brought him to Umbria, where she tracked down Caleb, the healer who had cured Bane years before. Caleb's daughter now lived off-world and couldn't be used as blackmail, but Zannah managed to convince Caleb to heal Bane again on the condition that she would turn herself and her master into the Jedi. Zannah contacted the Jedi Temple and told them that Bane was on Umbria, which convinced Caleb to save Bane's life once more. Zannah then killed the healer and used the dark side to drive another man mad, giving him Bane's lightsaber and setting him up to be discovered by the Jedi. As the team from Tython was dead, none of the Jedi knew what Bane looked like, so they fell for this ruse. They killed the madman and assumed that the Sith were no more. In this manner, the Jedi learned of Darth Bane and the rule of 2, but they falsely believed that Bane had died before he could take his first apprentice. With the Jedi no longer looking for them, Bane and Zannah left Umbria behind them, venturing out into the wider galaxy. Bane discovered that Lord Quartus, the master of the Korriban Academy, had kept a bank account with the IGBC full of funds embezzled from the Brotherhood, which he laid claim to. He and Zannah then moved to Seotric 4, where they lived for years as a pair of wealthy merchants. At their mansion on Seotric, they amassed a great collection of Sith lore and artifacts. During their time on Seotric, Bane completed Zannah's training and began waiting for the day she would attempt to usurp the title of Dark Lord of the Sith. But even after 10 years on Seotric 4, Zannah never made a move against Bane, leaving the Dark Lord to believe she was waiting for him to get old and weak, thus defeating the purpose of the rule of two. Infuriated by his apprentice's hesitancy to kill him, Bane sought out the holocron of Darth Andedu, an ancient Sith Lord who was rumored to have learned how to live forever. From Andedu's holocron, Bane learned the technique of essence transfer, which allowed him to steal the body of another if his will was strong enough to drive out its original consciousness. He planned to take Xana's body and then find a new apprentice, allowing him to live indefinitely without weakening. Before he could confront Xana, Bane was captured by a Force-sensitive Iktochi known only as the Huntress, who delivered him to the princess of the planet Doan. The princess was none other than Caleb's daughter, Serra, who had never forgotten Bane and wanted to torture him to death for killing her father. Bane managed to escape her prison, and as he fled Doan, he recruited the Huntress to be his new apprentice. Naming her Darth Cognis, Bane pursued Serra to Umbria, where Cognis slew the princess to claim her place at Bane's side. On Umbria, Bane once more came face to face with Darth Xana, who challenged him to a duel to the death. Xana believed that Bane's pursuit of essence transfer was a rejection to the rule of two. She accused him of being afraid of death and trying to rule the Sith forever. The two Sith fought a vicious duel, but Xana had the advantage thanks to her mastery of Sith sorcery. Desperate, Darth Bane tried to use essence transfer to take over Xana's body, but Xana's will proved stronger than his, and Darth Bane was destroyed. Darth Xana became the new Dark Lord of the Sith, and she took Darth Cognis as her apprentice. That's only a very abbreviated summary of the story of Darth Bane. We highly recommend you read Drew Karpyshyn's trilogy of novels about Darth Bane, which is where this story comes from. But what do you think? What do you think of Darth Bane? Feel free to post your thoughts in the comment section below, and as always guys, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.